How about you? Give me gratitude.
Meaningful connections, you know.
Yeah.
Friday night was really awesome.
It was awesome, wasn't it? Aaron and I had a chance to do a sweat lodge, Greg, and then we did cold plunge, and we did that back and forth for about 2 hours.
That must have been stinky.
Yes. You know what? It actually weirdly wasn't, though. I know, it sounds like it could be, but it wasn't actually, but it was really cool. Yeah, it was a cool experience.
Fun way to spend a Friday night.
It was.
2 hours?
20 minutes in, then probably 10 minutes out, but with the cold plunge, then 20 minutes in, and then,
Holy crap.
and you're, I don't know, what would you say, it was probably 170 to 200 degrees, somewhere in there?
And then sitting in lotus and like doing.
Yes. Were your hips sore?
Yeah.
My hips, even Isaac's, were like, I'm like, I need to sit a little more cross-legged. Even Kenzie was like yesterday, she goes, you are so like out of shape in regards to like, I'm so stiff, like I can,
Really?
yeah. We're gonna get it back. We're gonna get some flexibility back. I don't know, not like the good old days when I was Gabe's age, but we're gonna get some, so that's good. Great, gratitude.
Oh, today I would say I'm grateful for my immune system because it is good to be well again.
Yes, that I can attest to. Yeah, that's good stuff. Not to be overrated, good health. And Miss Lisa, the star of Inspiro.
The star of Inspiro. So I'm grateful for a few things, and I guess this weekend is mostly friendships. It started Saturday. Steph and I did an open house,
Oh, nice.
and we had, I think, really good traffic, and hopefully possibly some leads. So it started off Saturday, spending a few hours with her, and it just kind of built. I was telling people that I'm an orphan, and because as you know, my family's very small. It's just me, my sister, mom, and dad, and we're so close. We do everything together. I mean, my travel partners are my parents, and so they all left town, so I was an orphan. And I was like, this is weird. I'm like, the Easter Bunny isn't gonna come Sunday. I mean, this is my age, and this is the first year to
Right.
get Easter basket or anything. And I'm like, wow. And so fortunately, a girlfriend reached out and invited me to her house, and it was the best time yesterday. Just
Very
being
cool.
surrounded by friends that are family. I mean, you kind of choose friends that
Sure.
become family.
Yeah.
And that's what they are. I mean, I've had her little boy, he's now in his, I guess, almost close to 30, and I've known him since he was like 5, and now he's married and 2 kids, and so when the rain kind of stopped, he and I went out in the yard real quick and, threw out Easter eggs and went out with the kids and hunted for them. It was just really a great day full of friendship and love and laughter, and I was very grateful for that.
It's very
It's been
cool.
a while since I've really felt that and been around it, so that's what I was just full of gratitude this weekend, just because really just friendships,
Yeah.
relationships.
Actually, the very first thing I wrote down was my family.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do they say? They say now, someone said to me that Easter is now considered the most popular holiday. So, any gratitudes online, ladies and gentlemen?
So I'm kind of grateful that I got to be with my my grandma yesterday, but she's going through some dementia. She's about 98 years old now, and she kind of acted out, got a little crazy.
Sure.
And my dad had to take her home, but I sat there and I thought, boy, I'm so grateful that I know that this is not her normally.
Yeah.
That I had good memories of her because she was a kind person. So anyway, it was a little hard this year like that.
Yeah, I get it. I picked my dad up from memory care and took him on a drive yesterday for about an hour. Took him to his home and where he'd been living, and those are tough moments because who they are today when they're going through that is not who you remember them to be, but you can't forget who they are. So, well said, Becky. That's great. Very, 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 very good. All right. In fact, actually, that goes right in line with what I want to share with you today. For years, there's so many things we always want to accomplish, we want to do, we want to achieve. We want to do deals. We want to maybe find the right relationships. We can have all sorts of crazy things that go on with our health and our vitality. And there's this great balance between our belief and our trust. And a lot of people will use those words, in my observation over the years, they'll use those words belief and trust, and they'll use them universally as if they're the same. And yet, I would at least suggest that they're not the same and necessarily almost in any way, shape, or form. And the thing that I would just first and state to you is just first ask yourself what you believe. And other words I might describe belief or believe is things like, what is your philosophy? Right? What is your understanding? And this really has to do with anything. And there was years ago, and I would challenge you to this, it doesn't matter whether I'm Lisa doing loans, or whether I'm Greg doing real estate, or if I'm Aaron who's been in this business a long time. Just I could even take all of the principles or the activities of this business we call real estate, and I will define what I believe, like simple things. What do you believe about prospecting? What do you believe about interest rates? What do you believe in regards to listing presentations or listings? And you start to realize that the power of being a deep thinker or a critical thinker, another way I like to define it is in the reality of you asking questions. And so I over the years I've said this, and that is that there's three types of thinkers. There's small thinkers, there are non-thinkers, and there are big thinkers. Well, non-thinkers pretty simple. They just simply don't think about anything. They may just be wandering through life, and whatever happens. You may say, well, is that always bad? Well, I don't know. Ignorance is not bliss. That is for a fact. So the reality is that, are you a small thinker, a non-thinker? Do you think really small? Are you in a space of scarcity and just getting by? Do you think in regards to your pathway and what it is that you're doing? But just remember that each one of us ebbs and flows in the moments of our beliefs, our thoughts, and the way we think. And so to believe and asking yourself what you believe is one thing. Like a lot of people say, well, I believe I'm going to be okay, or I believe I'm going to make it, or I'm going to figure it out, or I'm going to find a deal, or I'm going to find the right person or partner in my life. But the fact is that you can declare these beliefs, and then you have this is the hard part, Gabe. And I think it's a little easier when you're younger, just only because you don't have all these reasons why you shouldn't believe what you believe. But there's one thing that you get to do. You get to declare what you believe. And when people realize that, you can declare anything. Look at all the things. Like there's people who declare the earth is flat. Still, right? Like there's still people who declare the earth is flat. There's people who declare that they believe in one God versus another. There's people who declare they're liberals, libertarians, Democrats, Americans, Republicans. Again, we can declare anything we want to believe. And once you realize that you can declare a new belief on anything, declare how much money you're going to earn, maybe more than what you've been making or earning. You can declare any new belief, whether it's new or old, you can declare it. The great work in declaring what you believe comes then into the development of the belief. And that's where the work starts to really happen. Hence, we do affirmations, we write in journals, we meditate, we visualize. We do all these things to develop these beliefs, especially the most meaningful ones. Right? We start to develop a belief, and we start to put legs under that belief that support that belief. And so the thing for you, and I'm not going to decide. There's some things I want to talk about. I don't lose time to talk about trust, but just remember, you have this new belief, and I'm just doing a tabletop for those of you who are online. It's not going to probably show up very well, but just assume that those are legs, and each one of those are legs that support and the development of a new belief. Someone might say something politically, and they'll say, well, let me tell you why I believe this, and they'll give you all of these reasons. They'll have a belief that they're the best agent, the best loan officer. But they start with these beliefs, and they declare them, and they start to then develop them. Again, you can develop them with so many different ways. Journaling, affirmations, writing your vision, meditating. All of these different factors in regards to how you build something has to do with the supporting cast or the supporting legs underneath the belief. So in its most simple form, wake up and start thinking and ask yourself, what is it that I believe? And that goes into that pathway, and this isn't a new concept for many of you because I've said it for years, which is if no one told you what to believe, if no one said, Lisa, this is what we believe, Aaron, this is what we believe, and it's fine if you say, okay, well, that is what I believe. I can go with that. Maybe it was something your mom said, maybe your dad said, maybe your best friend, maybe a sibling, maybe a coworker, another agent, maybe it was someone religiously, someone in a church, whatever it is. Just for a minute, ask yourself, do you believe that? And the challenge is that, as Earl Nightingale has said, he said not that the people can't accomplish what they want to accomplish, they just simply, the problem with people today is they simply don't think. And if you don't think, and you don't figure out what it is that you believe, and then you want to say, well, I want to change that belief maybe about myself. Maybe I want to change the pathway I'm thinking about myself. Well, if I want to do that, then I've got to develop a new belief, and I develop it by who I spend time with, things I meditate on, things I visualize, things I affirm, things I write down, things I actually do. And when you start doing that, you start to shape a whole new life. Because your thoughts lead to your feelings, your actions, and of course your results. And then you start looking at it going, wait a second here. So you're telling me the first thing I need to do is declare what I believe? Yes. Or at minimum, figure out what you believe and see if you agree with it. But most people never move through their life even thinking and questioning and wondering. And the only way you can do this, and I said this I think even last week, is the only way in which you create a new belief or declare new ones, or how you become a critical thinker, a deep thinker, is by the power of the questions that you choose to ask yourself. It's in the power of your questions. So what is it you believe? What do you believe about listings? What do you believe about interest rates? What do you believe about lending? What do you believe about prospecting? What do you believe about lead follow-up? What do you believe about working with buyers versus sellers? What do you believe in regards to the new NAR stuff that's been going on? That's right, I got to announce that. The new NAR thing, this Wednesday, base camp, 11 a.m., right? 11 a.m., right? 11, right? Russ, and I'm hoping myself, I'm going to be participating with him, but we're planning on doing just a little NAR thing and how to approach it and just the legalities of it. And even though it's a few months out, just kind of giving us perspective. Okay? And then book club Thursday. I've got all the announcements. I'm so I got right into it, Aaron. All right. So again, number one, be a critical thinker. Ask questions. Figure out what you believe. And here's the beauty: if you don't like what you believe, you can change it and declare a new one. And the thing is people say, you mean you can just change it? Yes. And then you declare it, then you start developing it. You start working on a new mindset, a new belief system, a new way of thinking, a new approach to your life. Because your thoughts really matter. What you think about matters. What you say to yourself matters. But all of it comes from the way in which you think. So remember, I start off with, we're going to talk about belief. Another word we might use is faith, belief. And the other side of the coin is trust. And so whenever I have a Monday morning where maybe I'm not just feeling tip-top, or any day that I'm not feeling tip-top, and I'm not going to ask you by a show of hands, but I know one thing, that sometimes the weekend gets us thinking one way, like, hey, I just want to escape. And I've always found on Mondays that if I don't work on my mindset, that I have a real struggle throughout the rest of the week. So just remember that one of the things that I recognize is that you have to trust what's going on. And over the years, again, this isn't new to Greg for sure, maybe some of those others listening online, but I just want to ask you the question, and that is what does it mean to trust? And so people say, I'm just going to trust what's going to happen. Trust what? Trust who? Trust the process? Trust what? And so for me over the years, I still have this almost faded sticky notes on a poster board in my bathroom that I read often that says this. It says, trust myself. Trust myself. And you say, well, wait a second here. You mean you're just going to declare that? Yeah. I'm going to declare that I can figure it out. That I'm going to trust myself to do so. The second thing on that list is it says trust God. Higher power, source, Jesus, whatever. And I say whatever, meaning trust something bigger than you. Trust this universe and the power and the energy that flows in it. The true laws of attraction. Maybe just simply saying, hey, what is that? How I think, how I feel, and what I do becomes the magnet of my attraction. And what if, and I've always said this to myself, if, in so many words, if God can make miracles and raise people from the dead and do all sorts of, do all sorts of miracles, you're not thinking, can I not get my brain wrapped around the idea that I might find a real estate deal, I could do a loan or more loans, or I could figure, where do you put your trust? So the thing is that your declaration of your trust is a critical component to you functioning effectively in business. So again, I go back to trusting myself, trusting God. We could get into depth, we won't today, as to do we believe that trusting God, trusting ourselves, is that one and the same? Is God within us? Yeah, think about it. Ask your own self what you think. But I have a belief that my relationship with myself is the single most important relationship, which then spurs me into all my other relationships that are most precious and important to my life. That's just me. You may have a different belief. That's great. I don't have a problem with that. But figure out what you believe. But I do know this. If I declare my trust in myself, I trust myself. I trust God. I trust this universe, that everything is being prepared for my pathway. Because I got really clear on what I believe I'm going to do, what I'm going to accomplish, who I'm going to become, where I'm heading, what I'm accomplishing. Then I go to number 3, which is, well, there's a little bit of a process I got to go through. So then I have trust the process. You guys, this is me just sitting down one day with a journal somewhere in my mid-30s going, I am frightened about what was happening. And I'll never forget, actually, Aaron, your dad came to me years ago, Gabe, and said, I realized when everyone else was going through all of the stuff, you were too. And that was in 08, 9, and 10 when everything was just so psycho crazy and everybody was losing everything. And you're right. It was a scary time. It was during that time I said, okay, I believe it's going to work out. But it's more than just believing. It's moving to a space of I declare my trust, and we're going to get deeper, just one or two more things on this, but I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to trust God, I'm going to trust the process that it's going to take to get there, and I'm going to trust, I'm going to trust a few people. Now I remember, this is 25 years ago, sitting in a counseling session as a young married couple in our 20s, and Jennifer said these words to the counselor. I think that George has trust issues. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course I have trust issues. I don't trust everybody. And I remember the counselor said, in fact, some of you know him, Dr. Ken, because I've referred him to a handful of people, and I love this guy. He's in his 80s now. He's such a good man. And he said, whoa, what do you think? You supposed to trust everybody? And the answer is no. In fact, I remember him saying, if you have more than 5 friends that you consider your absolutely best friends, you are delusional. Meaning, you have so much trust, Greg, to every single person it seems on earth, there's something wrong with you. Meaning you are not thinking, you are not careful, you are not wise. And we had this great discussion of, do you have to trust everybody? No. But pick a few people whose voices, words, maybe even actions that you just might say, okay, I'm going to follow, I'm going to trust them. And that's what I did back in 08 and 9 and 10, is I picked just a few people, not 10 people, not 20 people, not everybody, not every social media influencer, not every single voice, not every single message. I didn't trust it all. I got down to the core. I said, oh, wait. I realized most of the people, Gabe, I'm going to trust are all dead, and I didn't kill them. They were people like Napoleon Hill, James Allen, Earl Nightingale, W. Clement Stone. And I started realizing that, man, I could trust these people. And so I started reading and studying and realizing the very people I needed to trust weren't even on this planet anymore, alive, at least in mortality, right? And so all of a sudden, when you think they're like, man, if I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to trust my Creator, I'm going to trust the journey, or in other words, I put up here, by the way, process/journey, by the way. All right, if I'm going to trust the journey I'm on, the path I'm on, the process I'm going to go through, and if I'm going to trust just a few people around me to help me along the way, well, now what? And this is the big deal. So let's just put this order here. I have new beliefs. I now believe. Oh yeah, I declare my trust. I verbalize my trust. I verbalize it, and that's the key. And this is the thing that changed the whole course of my life. And I would tell you, if I was sitting with Isaac and my other kids, I'd say, of all the things I did in my life to get where I am, it is the fact of this. It is the fact that I started to not only declare my trust, but I started to show that I trusted. And how I showed was this thing that's on that little sticky note, and it says these words: go to work. Start working as if it's going to work out, that the pathway will work, the journey will work, the people will show up, that you can trust God, trust yourself, that you can just go. And so how do you show that you trust? Hey, everyone can be lip service and say, I believe this, and I believe that, and I trust that. And we can say it all. But the only way that you show, Gabe, that you trust the journey, the process, you trust God, you trust yourself, and a few people gave you some good information, is you have to go do it. You have to show up and actually work. And so the thing is that, showing up like you guys are on in this morning, or those of you who are online, like showing up and doing the work, it shows that, oh wait, I trust it's going to work out. I trust it's going to happen. And so all of a sudden you start to declare what you're going to have, what you're going to do, what you're going to accomplish, what are your goals, your dreams, and you declare it and you keep it there, and then you go, all right, I'm going to trust. And then the only way you show your trust is you have to go do stuff. You have to go do things, make the calls, talk to the people, knock to the doors. And all of a sudden you start to realize, wait a second, this can happen. And it might be harder than you thought. It might take longer than it thought, or that you thought. But that's okay, because the only way that you can show your trust is by working and doing. And so sometimes we will declare our belief, declare what we want, declare where we want our life to be, and then we step back and then we kind of sabotage it a little bit. We say, oh, I trust it's going to work out. I trust we're going to have this. I trust we'll achieve this. Well, you can say that all day long, but until you show that you trust, until you do things to get there and move towards it, it's going to be a really tough journey beyond what even it is. It still will be tough. It will be, because it's going to refine you. But it will become easier if you will go do. Aaron, please, yeah.
I was just gonna say, to really show up, to really trust and believe, it has to show up as an attitude.
Yes.
And the way your energy, you meet the opportunity, you meet your day of work,
Right, so to your point, if you were just going out and let's just say you go out and knock doors and you're sitting here in this place of scarcity and wrong attitudes, and you're angry, mad, and you're declaring how bad it is, how horrible it is. But all those things are actions in relationship to our trust.
to make you in alignment, you have to show up with the right heart space.
Yep.
To do and trust the process.
Trust. And then part of the trust is we go do, and part of it is even the energy that you portray, a level of abundance, light. That's why one of the hardest processes I made was going and doing what I knew I needed to do and trusting that it would work out. And then in the meantime, still staying bright and light. And in that, what I like to say, stay in the light, that just resonates for me. I know what does Tony Robbins says? He says, stay in a what? Who knows what, what he says? What does he say? Stay in a beautiful what? State. Right. So whatever it is that resonates for you, but man, imagine if you could say, man, this is my belief. I am going to achieve, accomplish, have, blank. Whatever blank is. And then you say, now I'm gonna go, I trust myself, I'm gonna trust my Creator, I'm gonna trust this process and journey I'm under. I'm going to then trust just a few people, not everybody, just a few, and I'm gonna go to work. And I'm gonna stay in that bright and light space, even when I feel like not being there. And then imagine what could happen. Imagine just what could happen if you declared new beliefs that you really said, man, I'm doing it. And you trusted by showing your activity level, what you do. You paid attention to how you feel, right? Think, feel, do. It's almost impossible to not achieve what you want. Anything you want, whatever you want to have, whatever you want to accomplish, whatever you want to achieve, whatever goal is important to you, it'll happen. And that's the thing I've echoed as I've reflected on my own life. If I set a destination, if I declare my belief in getting there, I keep my energy in the right space, and then I go do it because I show my trust with complete commitment, I cannot think of any moment in business, any moment, that I have not achieved what I wanted to accomplish. I don't care whether it was buying or selling California. I don't care whether it was getting, relocation accounts like the LDS Church. I don't care whether it was, 1,000 plus agents, $100 million of commissions paid out. I don't care if it was my declaration sitting in front of one of the president of a particular title company, and I sat in a room and I said to him, when no laws were enacted, I couldn't own, and I said, mark my words, I will own a title company, because I was so ticked off about what he was doing and the treachery of the situation in title that was going on. And I said, I will own a title company, mark my words. And his exact words were, I will do everything within my power to make sure you don't. I said, game on. And as I sat on the Senate floor, declaring my reasons as to why we should be able to have that, raised over $350,000, I then called him back and I said, well, and here's the funny part, I at some level do business with him today. I mean, there's no riff, but it was almost like, you're gonna tell me I can't? Oh, well, now that's a different conversation, because I'm gonna show you, Greg, how we can. And all of a sudden I declared a new belief, I enacted my trust, and I started going to work, and I started making it happen. And it took me about 2 years to get it. I remember I said 2 years to get the LDS church count, got it in 9 months. And I'll never forget sitting at the corner bakery with Leah Kruger, bless her heart, and she said, George, there's no way you'll ever get that account. And here's the funny part, Lisa, guess what? When she said that, guess I already had it. And I knew she had it. And I remember the next week it was announced formally that for 13 years, Coldwell Banker had this account. Now we've had it over a decade. And I remember after that, and then she shortly came into the company and she said, you already knew you had it when I said that, didn't you? I said, yeah. And she said, you are so bad. And I said, well, what did you want me to say? It was still confidential. And I was thinking how committed she was. There is no way. So just think of all the people have told you no way, it's not happening. Just again, I come back to, what do you believe? And then what do you do by showing your trust to yourself, to your Creator, to the people who you trust, and going through the journey and process. And I'm just telling you, man, when you tiptoe through difficult moments, you will get hurt. Almost every time I hear of an old guy getting hurt playing some sport, do you know what it usually is? It was them doing something really casual on the front, lawn, or in their backyard, or they were shooting some hoops on their driveway, blow their Achilles, and it's always like, I was just playing, I just was playing with my kids, it was like no big deal, and then all of a sudden they're in the hospital. Why? Because of this statement. I'll leave you with this. Casualness creates casualties, and it always does. And when you are casual with your thoughts, casual with your actions, casual, you will create casualties. And you oftentimes are the casualty. And if you have a lot of stewardship for a lot of people, when you're casual, even your own casualness can hurt a lot of people. So just remember, take your life serious. Take what you think serious. Take what you do serious. Take what you feel. Be serious about it. Take it and really run with it, but take it serious. Be a critical thinker, ask questions, and then ask yourself, how are your actions in alignment with all of that stuff? Because look, the most easiest thing any of us are going to do in here is either do a loan or sell some real estate. People, oh no, it's so tough. It's not. What's tough is becoming, any of us, in the room and online, it is becoming who you need to become to do the business you want to do. And here's what's crazy. When you become that person, business is the easiest part of it. And once you begin to realize that it is not market driven, it is not outside driven, it is personally driven by what you're doing, what you're radiating, what you're vibrating, what your frequency is, what your skill sets are, what your disciplines are. It's all on you. And once you begin to realize that, you're like, wow, what, sky's the limit. And by the way, this stuff, as I've always heard from others who have said this, from Jim Rohn and Earl Nightingale and others, this stuff is so easy to talk about. It's not like my life is perfect. I have my errors, I have my problems, I have things I don't do the best, but it is this constant, consistent desire to be the best version of myself, to trust my journey that I'm on, trust a few people, trust the process, trust my creator, trust myself, and go to work. And just see what you could do. See what can happen if you moved with no fear, no resistance, if you prospected, make the calls. And those of you who heard, I'll close with this, who heard that great talk by my wife Jennifer, and she said that question, if you'll remember, what would I do? How would I respond today if I didn't operate from a place of fear? Fear of rejection, fear of they don't need this, fear of they don't want this. And what she had done is she had left her little book and bunny for an individual who had just lost, I believe it was a grandchild, and maybe you guys remember, I can't remember who it was that had just been lost, but it was for this lady, and then she called and had a very beautiful moment, and she almost didn't do it because she thought, I don't know, will she want it? I don't know who she is. And all the self-talk that all of us do is she broke through it and she operated without her fear. And when you operate with not fear, you trust. When you operate with no fear, you realize that you have a clear destination as to where you're going, and you go down this journey. And yes, it will ebb and flow. Yes, there will be hiccups. Yes, there will be disappointment. Yes, you'll have moments of fear, but you don't need to. And the more you make that a habit within your life, the more beautiful your life will become. So, any closing thoughts, comments, ahas, anything?
Hi, George.
Yes.
So when you're talking about trust, I think the first thing you obviously have to do is trust yourself and believe in yourself.
Yes.
And there's a movie, and you may or may not remember it.
Oh, are you there, Steph? We lost you.
She's trying to see if you remember it.
Oh, you're asking me if I remember it. Oh,
At least she's mute though.
now she's on mute. Stephanie, you muted yourself.
How did I mute myself?
I don't know.
It's a mute
There we
button.
go.
I'm not
Well,
quite.
in the never-ending story, it talks about self-love, trusting yourself. It has like 5 practices that it teaches, and it's a little kids movie, but if you watch it, it's so empowering
I
to
don't.
help yourself. Like, you have to make a choice. Like, we're reading The Power of One more, and in there they talk about the red pill or the blue pill. Which one do you want to make? And the never ending story teaches you to find that self-love in yourself and teaches you to trust. It's a
Yeah.
pretty powerful, impactful movie if you watch it.
What's it called?
Never any story.
The never ending story. It's a children's movie. And I just remember it from being a kid and how, like, this little kid has to trust a flying dragon to keep him safe.
All right. I love it, but that is the principle. That is. Okay, anybody else? Good morning. Anybody else? Any takeaway, Aaron? Give us a takeaway, and then we're rolling.
No, this weekend did an open house and I did everything right. And I didn't have a single visit.
Okay.
I had just done a price reduction. Did all the all the media posts, all that.
Right.
I had to show up, check in, do it. And last minute, I got a phone call from somebody that was coming from a different area that asked me to hold on and wait. And it was like a little last minute of grace because I showed up, but it's a buyer that has to be in a place in like 10 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're helping them now.
Oh, yeah.
Very
I
cool.
showed them house yesterday.
Yeah. My whole point. Trust.
Hey, I had to do I had to show up, I had to check in, I had to bring myself, I had to do my part. And just being engaged in the process, being engaged in what
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be doing, put me in line with what opportunity I could have.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool.
I know Plant had one last weekend, same thing.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Plants?
No.
Just a SOI callback, I mean, he's being in contact, being in relationship with
Right.
people,
Sure.
connected, doing his part, he had somebody send him a back end referral, he went to an open house, wrote an offer,
Yeah.
wham, bam, and done.
It is amazing when you go do what ends up happening. When
You have to do your part.
And exactly.
You have to show up right.
What I say, Woody Allen had, his statement was 80% of success is just showing up. Like, show up.
Yeah.
So, were you gonna say something, Gabe?
Mine, what I was gonna say that kind of goes along with that, like I feel like part of the trusting the process and stuff like that is just not thinking too, like overthinking everything. Like I'm super critical of everything I do and think about like, what's the most effective way I can do it, but really it's just about doing the action and like taking the action.
Yeah.
Like Aubrey, I was like talking to him about door knocking and stuff and calling people and he says like, just do it, like don't even think about
Yeah.
what you're gonna say, what they're gonna say, just like take the action and then you'll learn from that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like giving yourself even the opportunity to fail.
Yeah.
Right? One of the statements I've made for years, I used to do this with Isaac, I'd be like, nice loss, nice job. And then the whole point is now you figured out now what not to do. And that is a beautiful thing, is that failure is one of the beautiful things to teach us how to win. So it's great. Michael?
So it's kind of funny, I was on like the opposite side of it. I got really sick this last week.
Okay.
And it like stopped all this momentum I had building up of like learning and knocking doors. And all of a sudden I stopped because I got super sick. And now getting back into it today, I'm super nervous, but I'm gonna go do it and get the ball running again.
Yep.
But it's like weird to see like how much progress you lost after.
Yeah.
You like
It is.
take it for what's granted.
Yeah, well, I always say, mindset has no shelf life because it can go in a heartbeat. And so having habits and tools, and a lot of people only figure out how to get those things back if they go to like a big event, a big seminar, like, can you regulate yourself, find your center despite all of the noise or the lack of other things that you may not have? Can you find that center? And that's why from journaling, meditating, affirmations, all these little things that can bring you back into the energy that you're looking for and to that vibration, that frequency, so that when you show up and you go do all of the stuff, all of a sudden everything is in alignment. They feel your certainty, they feel your energy, they feel your care, your concern, and it all comes together. So, and part of it you can re-engineer, right? To get yourself aligned is you go do the things, which then aligns your energy and your thoughts. Or sometimes we would love it if our thoughts and our energy was right first, and then we can go do something. But just remember, sometimes even the motion, that creates the emotion.
I just have to do it today.
Exactly. And it'll come back. Whenever I'm in a funk, whenever I'm off, the most important thing every day was go knock doors, which I know Aubrey does a ton of.
I was gonna say one last thing about this. Don't let your mind build it up. You're not out of momentum, dude. Just jump right back into action.
Yeah.
Like any little buildup you have, like you just said, don't let that happen. Just get right back into action. You'll be right back in momentum. You have to get into action.
Yeah. Most important thing, by the way, Michael, when I feel any of that energy, just do one thing. I know my schedule from months ago from what I have created, especially when I was selling real estate. I just follow my schedule. That's all I would do. If I'm supposed to prospect. If I'm supposed to knock doors, knock. And to his point, you don't build. My build up is just follow your schedule. No matter what you feel like, no matter what you want to push away from, just follow your schedule. And if you follow your schedule, you won't get off. You have a schedule, right?
Of course.
Perfect. I like that. Of course. Of course, Aubrey. All right. Okay, guys, let's roll. All right. It's going to be a good day. Let me throw this on.